Yes. How do you guys like everything that we've been going back and forth on? We're trying to figure out the lighting, guys. We're trying to give you a better transmission. We're trying to see our patients. April Lopez, family nurse practitioner, wound specialist, adult geriatric acute care nurse practitioner, and advocate, human advocate, coming to you live today from Lopez Family and Wound Healing Clinic. I need to make sure we're going live. Okay, yes, today is the day. Today is the day that we are going to give our tickets away. Okay, we're trying to figure out lighting. We're trying to figure out makeup. I am 50 years young, but I don't want to look it all the time. So I think it's looking pretty good there. My husband's amazing. He's my boss. He's my recorder, and he's my everything. We've tried to hire people to do this for us. We have a studio. We've done it before, but oh my gosh, it's so much better when you just control everything, especially because I have OCD, right? And who better than you to control what you need to do? So very exciting things happening. A lot of changes happening. It's Christmas time. This live is going to be a little bit lighter than the last live. You know, I try to give you guys information having to do with what's going on in the community. I try to give you guys information having to do with relevant topics that I think are going to help you and help your children. Something that you can share with somebody, say, hey, you know what, Ms. Lopez was talking about this the other day. Relevant social issues. Now we have, I'm the news bearer. Now we have a young lady, unfortunately, may God rest her soul, a beautiful young Aggie that passed away, and the mom's looking for answers. Like, these are things that we want to talk about. I've been in groups before where parent groups where the parents want to talk about what's being served for lunch, but they don't want to talk about the very real things that are happening in our community. And to me, as a nurse practitioner, I'm very concerned about wellness, health and wellness. I'm very concerned about the current events. What is happening right now? What is happening with our children? What is happening in our community? We saw that a young lady, unfortunately, she was inebriated. She was drunk. She was had liquor, underage drinking, and they left, I think, downtown, and some people died. This poor lady, young girl, is now facing charges. The poor people that lost the family member, and I applause to the mayor for wanting to bring light on this. Guys, these are very real social issues that are happening, and that specific issue shines light on underage drinking. We're not only responsible, the business owners that are downtown that are selling to underage minors. We as parents are responsible to not give children liquor. It is such a widespread problem, and it is such an issue that nobody wants to talk about because people get offended. This just happened this past week. You know, people are still doing this. Yes, it's against the law. Why do we have to be afraid and scared to talk about it? Let's bring this awareness. It has to change. It changes with us. It stops with us. This other poor girl, it was one of those tailgate parties. You know, people tell me, well, weren't you in college? Of course, we all were in college, but we want to bring light. We want to bring awareness of these issues for these young girls that are going to go to college, that are out there in college to take care of themselves, not to drink anything somebody else gives them. These parties get crazy. There's drugs, there's alcohol, tensions run high. There could be envy. She was a beautiful girl. I mean, who knows what could have happened to this poor girl? Prayers go out to her. But last week was a little bit heavy because we're dealing with some issues in the local schools and children being emotionally abused. And so it just brings about, you know, a lot of heavy topics. But it is Christmas time, and I don't want to ignore those very, very important topics, but I also want to say thank you to all of the people that are following us and the people that are joining our live. Thank you for those of you that are asking for certain topics for us to cover, because this is what I always tell people. Even if you don't join the live, you can look at the video later. We're making little snippets so that you can learn a little bit. I'm hoping that in the 20 to 30 minutes that I share with you, I give you a lot of beef. I always tell people we don't have a lot of time, so we want a lot of beef, a lot of good information. I try to give it to you fairly quickly because I need to do some in English and some in Spanish. And today, for the first time, I'm taking a request. I'm going to cover about red light therapy because one of the patients asked me on the live, Ms. Lopez, what do you think about red light therapy? So for you, sir, I want to share with you, you know who you are. Here is your information on red light therapy. I'm going to touch base on this at the end. And also we are supporting the McAllen High School. We support everything from McAllen High School and a lot of the high schools throughout. We support the mariachi, the ROTC, all of the different booster clubs, of course, cheer, softball, basketball, you name it, we support it here. And so we're supporting, shout out to Coach Stephanie Cantu and all the softball girls, all the parents, all the booster parents. And so we are here. And we're giving away tickets to the McAllen Holiday Parade for the people that are joining, and the people that are going to ask for the tickets. We're going to have another live tomorrow. We're going to take the first 20 people. We only have 20 tickets to give away today. So if you call the clinic and say, hey, I saw Ms. Lopez on the live, this is what she talked about. Can I have tickets? And we're going to give you tickets. It's first come, first serve. So if you say, hey, can I have 5 for my family? Can I have 4? We're going to give you 5 or 4. Whoever calls first, 956-627-5555. That's 956-627-5555. And so let's talk about, I know I already had a few people inbox me. I am saving your tickets. Okay. Let's talk about, foot care. We're going to talk about foot care today. And why is it so important in line with diabetes and prevention, and in line with wound care and healing? You know, the first thing that you have to do is not get a wound, right? That's the prevention is the first thing that you have to do. And unfortunately, a lot of times we're going to get wounds, and it's not going to be anybody's fault other than that's just how life went, right? I have patients that come in and they're like, Ms. Lopez, I don't know how I got this wound, but it already looks black and it looks like the toe was pierced right through, and they don't remember how they got it. So that's why we want to, you know, we bring you evidence-based information. Today, we want you to focus on your feet. Okay. Steps to protect your feet. And it might sound redundant, but I'm going to tell you something. If you haven't had nail fungus, you just have not lived. And it is so important to take care of nail fungus. You do not want to ignore nail fungus. Nail fungus is one of those pesky things that happens to young and old, and you want to address it. You want to hit it and hit it hard. That's what I tell people. We are in it to heal it. Any disease process, like, for example, you present to me, I'm a family nurse practitioner, primary care, but I'm also board certified in wound care, and I'm a geriatrician. Okay. You come to me with a common cold. I want to hit it and hit it hard. We're not going to give you antibiotics. I know a lot of you guys love antibiotics. Antibiotics are not the cure-all for everything. So a lot of this stuff can be taken care of with, here clearly, rest, hot teas, hot chicken soup, good vitamin C. But if you are very sick and you're an elderly person, or you're somebody with comorbidities, we're going to hit it and hit it hard. I don't want to wait until you have pneumonia, right? We want to treat you aggressively. So focus on your feet. What are some stuff that we can do to protect your foot health? I know you guys know, but we're not supposed to walk barefoot, right? We don't want you to be walking barefoot. Why? Because you're going to get an ulcer, right? We don't want you to get an ulcer. So that's the first thing. My grandma used to tell me a lot, no caminas descalzas, don't be walking barefoot because you're going to get sick. Now, we have learned now that, in fact, walking barefoot is good for the development of the children. We have something called grounding now, where you can step on the dirt and on the grass, and that's actually very, very good for you. Walking barefoot, I actually work out. I take off my shoes and I work out my feet at the gym. I will do my ankles. I will do the toe lifts, right? And I do them with my feet this way, straight, and then I do them with my feet in, and then I do them with my feet out. It works all around the calf, right? But I'm also working my toes, okay? And it has really helped me because I have flat feet. So I work out and I train my feet as well. I train my grips as I'm in the gym, because all of this is functional movement, right? To be able to put on your bra, to be able to button your shirt, put on your shoes. So that is very important that you also train your feet. Nonetheless, especially if you have diabetes or if you have poor circulation. I have patients who've never been diabetic that were very heavy smokers that have really bad circulation. If you're a person with poor circulation, you really should not be walking barefoot, because you're not going to feel that little prick, and then before you know it, it's going to be black, and then here's a bone sticking out. And remember, your feet don't have a lot of fat on them, most people's feet. So the bones are like right there. So it's an emergency if you get a wound there. You have to immediately seek help. Your wound should be getting better and better every week, not worse and worse. Like everything else, if you're getting better and better, I always tell my patients, are you better, the same, or worse? And if they say, I feel so sick. Yes, my dear, sir. Are you better, same, or worse than when I saw you last week? How do you feel? I see you better. Your wound looks a little better. And they're like, you're right, Ms. Lopez, I look a little better, or I feel a little better. We don't want you walking backwards with your treatment, with your practitioner. Be your own advocate. If you are getting better, then the treatment is working. If you are getting worse, the treatment is not working. It's something that simple, it sounds silly, but it's a fact. So the other thing is very, very important. Wash your feet every day and dry them completely. It is very important to moisturize your feet, but not in between the toes, because if you moisturize them in between the toes, you can get fungus, you can get athlete's foot, and you can get wounds, okay? So you want to moisturize the plantar, check in between the toes, check in the nails, back to the fungus. If you have nail fungus, I don't think I've ever had a patient with a foot ulcer or even leg ulcers that does not have really bad nail fungus. We have to treat the nail fungus. There's a lot of good stuff you can use topical, but a lot of it is also needing to be treated systemically. Go to your practitioner and have them treat it. If they don't treat it, seek a second opinion. Having fungus on the toes is not good because it's like you have an open wound in every toe. Change your socks at least once a day. Let's talk about athlete's foot. Athlete's foot is the #1 reason for most of these wounds because they're dry and cracked. I've had it before. I've had nail fungus before. It's gone. I have to be very aggressive with it. So I change my socks all the time. It prevents rashes. It prevents nail fungus. And it prevents foot fungus, athlete's foot. I recently had athlete's foot. So my husband, what the heck was that? Why did I get that? I didn't change my socks twice a day. I change them usually 2 to 3 times a day. You have to carry extra socks in the car. You have to carry sandals in the car to air out your feet. Very, very important. We talked about infected toenails. Sometimes you get ingrown toenails. I have patients that have these wounds and they just never go away. I tell them, get a good pedicure. Once they get a good pedicure, guess what? The wounds stop happening because the corners are poking into the sides of the toes. So very, very important. Wearing the right type of shoe. I really feel like when we were growing up, mom, 4 kids, we all just wore anybody's shoes that were given to us. If I remember correctly, my mom's not going to let me lie. We bought 1 pair of shoes per year. That's what I remember. So we wore anybody's shoes that were already molded in, whether they fit me or not. We all were 7.5. We wore the same size of shoes. I don't think we all were 7.5. I think that's just the shoes we got. So my shoes, I think most of the time were probably a little tight and I wasn't aware of it. Go a little bit size bigger. If you go get your foot measured at these shoe shops, they're going to say, okay, if you wear an 8.5, you need a 9.5 in running shoes. So be more of a, let me put my shoe on. Can I extend my entire foot out in the shoe? Okay. Do I have a good grasp on the floor, on the plantar as I'm walking? Okay. Then that's a proper shoe for me. Is it rubbing on the sides? Is it giving me corns or calluses? Is it going to give me a potential wound? Do I have my toe like this? It's rubbing on my toe. Guess what? I'm going to get a wound right there on that part of the foot. So very, very important that we do that. Now, if you go to a salon, I always say this is very, very important. You've gotten fungus from the salons too. You have to go to a renowned place that opens the tools in front of you. If you're a diabetic, you have to get a good podiatrist. But I have to say something about that. You don't always get a good podiatrist and they don't always do a good job of cutting nails or cleaning feet. Get yourself a person that's very conscientious, is very well-versed in cutting nails. I like to follow them round. I feel like for me, if I do square, I get ingrowns in the corners, but everybody's feet are different. So very, very important. Don't go somewhere where it looks dirty. I always say, if I walk in and the place is dirty, I'm out. That's why I'm a real big clean freak. Okay? And the other thing is, I have a chronic history of numbness in my feet. So, I am always checking. I know I'm taking forever in English. I'm always checking my feet. So I think that's very, very important to be checking your feet. Now, if you have questions, let me know. Thank you for the people that are inboxing about the tickets. And now we're going to do it in Spanish. Okay. Buenas tardes, familia. Abril Lopez, enfermera de Práctica Avanzada y especialista de heridas. Estamos en vivo hoy y hoy vamos a estar regalando los boletos para el desfile de Navidad, navideño del sábado. Entonces, si quieren boletos, llamen a la clínica 956-627-5555. Digan, vi a Miss López en el video. ¿Y de qué platicamos? ¿Qué temas vamos a tocar hoy? Y tienen que decirnos de qué temas platicamos y cuántos boletos quieren. Van a ser para los primeros que llamen. Ahorita ya, creo que ya se fueron 5 o 8. No estoy segura, pero están checando los muchachos. Bueno. ¿De qué vamos a hablar hoy, familia? Algo muy importante. Ustedes saben que soy especialista de heridas, soy enfermera de práctica avanzada general familiar, clínica familiar, y somos también geriatras. Soy geriatra, soy especialista en cuidados agudos y hospitalista, he ido a los hospitales. Entonces, ahora estamos enfocándonos en el cuidado de sus pies. ¿Por qué razón tenemos que checarnos los pies? ¿Por qué razón tenemos que cambiarnos las calcetas, los calcetines, hasta los zapatos? Si estamos bendecidos de tener más de un par de zapatos, tenemos que cambiarnos los zapatos. No puedes traer los mismos zapatos y los mismos calcetines desde la mañana hasta en la noche. Si te permite tu trabajo, cámbiate los zapatos, cámbiate los tenis y saliendo del trabajo, llega a tu carro, quítate los calcetines, ponte tus chanclitas y deja que se te orían los pies. Algo muy importante especialmente para la gente con diabetes, es que se chequen los pies. Aunque no tengas diabetes, alguna vez puedes tener alguna herida que ni siquiera te das cuenta. Muy importante también que chequemos que no tengamos los honguitos en las uñas, porque el honguito en la uña, eso hace cuenta que cada uñita traes una herida. Es una herida abierta, entonces es muy riesgoso traer las uñas así. Hay muchos tratamientos que hay disponibles para los pacientes que son tópicos, que es como un esmalte, y también algo tomado. Vayan con su doctor, enfermera de práctica avanzada, perdón, ya para estas horas ya andamos medio cansadones. Y estamos platicando, vamos a seguir con los pies, pero estamos platicando en inglés, que la semana pasada estuvo un poquito pesado el enlace en vivo porque estaban pasando muchas cosas en la comunidad. Esa semana también desafortunadamente pasó que una niña salió tomada de allá en el centro, y la niña de 18 años desafortunadamente causó, no estoy al 100%, causó creo que la muerte de una persona. Tenían varias personas que también fueron heridas en el carro donde ella iba. Tenemos que concientizarnos de que seguimos dándole licor a los niños menores de 21 años y ellos todavía no están preparados. Y un adulto no estamos preparados para andar ebrios. Y estos niños menos, entonces no saben medir las consecuencias y se les hace todo muy fácil y tristemente causa muertes. Hay que concientizarnos, hay que dejar de aplaudirle a los papás que les dan a los niños el alcohol. Hay que cambiar nuestra sociedad, una familia a la vez, sin juzgar a nadie, con todo el respeto del mundo. Digo, mi papá me dio a mí de tomar a los 12 años. Vamos a cambiarlo, familia, vamos a cambiarlo. También la otra niña en la Universidad de Texas A&M que fue a Austin y que desafortunadamente murió. La mamá está buscando respuestas porque dicen que se cayó de 17 pisos. Probablemente hubo una fiesta, definitivamente tuvo que haber habido licor, hay muchas veces drogas. No podemos, niñas, cuídense mucho, niños jóvenes, no podemos tenerle confianza a nadie, no tomen nada que les den, no vayan a estas fiestas sin un amigo, sin una amiga, sin un grupo de gente y no se separen porque desafortunadamente esto es lo que se ha visto en la comunidad. Me gusta hablar de cosas más ligeras, pero ¿cómo podemos ignorar? ¿Cómo podemos estar platicando de qué le van a servir a los niños en el lonche, en las escuelas, en las prepas, si estamos viendo que los niños están muriendo por tomar? Entonces, vamos a concientizarnos, es lo que está pasando en la comunidad. Seguimos, ¿cómo nos vamos a cuidar los pies? No queremos que le salgan heridas. El paso número 1 para sanar tu herida es que no te salga una herida. Lo he platicado muchas veces. Prevención, prevención, prevención. Entonces, ¿qué vamos a hacer? Lavarnos nuestros pies diarios y checar que no nos esté saliendo el honguito. Si nos está saliendo el honguito en la uña, necesitamos ver a nuestro doctor, a nuestra enfermera de práctica avanzada, para que nos den algo para tratar las uñas, ¿ok? La otra cosa que es muy importante también es secarnos entre cada dedito. Acuérdense que sus dedos de los pies tienen muy poquita grasa. Algunos tenemos pies más gorditos, pero los huesitos están luego, muy poca piel arriba, muy poco músculo, no hay tanto de piel. Entonces, de musculatura es más que nada piel y huesito y tendones. Entonces, ¿qué pasa si a ti te está pasando que con un zapato que tienes que te queda mal, te está constantemente molestando esa área del pie, te está causando fricción y presión, se te puede hacer una herida? Tenemos que checar entre cada dedito. El hongo, el pie de atleta es algo muy incómodo. ¿Qué pasa si no nos cambiamos los zapatos? Ya lo platicamos. Otra cosa muy importante, platicaba yo que cuando estábamos chiquitos, pues nos poníamos los zapatos que nos regalaban. Mami, que yo me acuerdo, creo que nos compraba un buen par de tenis al año y pues esos eran los tenis y todos usábamos 7.5 y digo yo, a lo mejor yo no usaba 7.5 porque de las 3 hermanas, una tenía el pie más gordito, otra más larguito. Entonces dije yo, es muy importante, si se puede, si están bendecidos para poder irse a medir sus pies. Digo, si usas una talla 7.5, Puedes comprar zapatos 8, 8.5 porque necesitas darle espacio a que todo el pie esté completamente plano cuando vas caminando. Hablando de entrenar también, no queremos que andemos descalzos porque nos podemos cortar o algo, pero también es importante quitarte los zapatos, andar a lo mejor en el zacate un poco, estirar tus pies. Yo en el gimnasio entreno mis pies. Todo con cautela, entreno mis pies, hago ejercicio solo con calcetines y me pongo a estirar los pies y hago ejercicios para que mis pies estén más fuertes. Eso ayuda mucho, igual las manos. ¿Por qué? Porque queremos poder ponernos el brasier, los zapatos, abrocharnos. Con la edad se nos van entrincando las manos, ¿verdad, familia? Entonces, queremos que podamos hacer ese tipo de cosas y eso es parte del cuidado de los pies. Y de hacer ese ejercicio para poder seguir funcionando en la vida, poder ser independientes. Algo muy importante también, que nos corten bien las uñas. Necesitamos buscar a alguien que sepa cortar bien las uñas, que no nos vaya a cortar. Desafortunadamente yo mando a mis pacientes a los podiatras para los especialistas de pies para que les corten las uñas. No siempre hacen buen trabajo. Desafortunadamente muchas veces llega a pasar que no les cortan las uñas bien o si tienen las uñas enterradas, eso es mucho riesgo para una herida, para una infección. Si van a ir a un lugar donde les cortan sus uñas, que chequen que todo lo tengan sellado, que todo esté bien limpio. Yo digo siempre, si yo entro a un lugar y está sucio, ya me fui, porque la limpieza es lo primero, la primera prevención para las enfermedades y para sanarte, la limpieza es número 1. Vamos a seguir. Otra cosa. Si tienes un problema de circulación, si tienes los pies dormidos, eso es mucho más importante que te sigas checando tus pies. ¿Por qué? Porque no vas a sentir si traes una cortada, familia. Necesitamos checarnos nuestros pies para prevenir eso. And last but not least, don't forget to call for your free tickets to the holiday parade. Los boletos los vamos a regalar para el desfile de este sábado. Tienen que hablar a la clínica 956-627-5555. Nos pueden mandar un mensaje por Facebook también. Y vamos a separarles sus boletos. Lo último que vamos a platicar, todavía no acabamos, mi vida linda. Lo último que vamos a platicar es, ya me están cerrando el changarro aquí. Vamos a platicar de la luz roja. I had a patient that asked me about red light therapy. He said, Ms. Lopez, do you think that red light therapy is good? Sir, thank you so much for the question. I'm going to tell you that I particularly love red light therapy. I've read books on red light therapy. This is straight from the Stanford Medicine News Center. And the question is, did you know that dermatology red light treatment is used for mostly hair growth? I have personally used a hat with red light therapy for my hair growth. I use that and I use Vigomore drops to help my hair growth because I had a big old loss of hair through COVID because of COVID. And so I know that red light therapy works. Also, I want to say that we are using red light therapy for pain in the joints, for healing of knees. I have used red light therapy on my knee. I had a torn meniscus ACL. Now, this is not medical advice. You have to see a particular practitioner, but we have to use the new treatments to prevent so many invasive procedures. In 2015, the National Library of Medicine made photobiomodulation a medical subject heading term. What does that mean? Since then, we've seen a major increase of published studies validating the science of photobiomodulation. Okay? Basically, the studies evaluated red light on biology back to the 60s. And basically, scientists were investigating whether this would cause mice to develop cancer. But instead, what they found is that the mice grew hair. So this is back when we were talking about the effectiveness of it. This is what I always say. There's also machines that are used for the face. People swear by them. The dilation of blood vessels enables more blood and nutrients to reach the hair follicles or the surface of wherever you're putting them on. Used over multiple months consistently, red light has been shown to regrow thinning hair. Now there's a lot of hair products that have the red light for that. Wound healing and scarring. Some preliminary studies pointed toward potential for accelerated skin and tissue healing, depending on the wavelength of light, duration, and frequency of treatment. So, it's very interesting and deserves further study. Okay, athletic performance and sleep. Sleep expert Jamie Zitzer, PhD, and sports medicine physician Michael Fredrickson say the data to support red light efficacy for either is still lacking. So it's still lacking in that area, but I'm going to tell you that if it works for you, do it. As long as it's not hurting you, there is some evidence. I can tell you personally, on me, it regrows my hair. I use red light, TENS, electrical conductivity. There's a little machine that you put on that increases blood flow to the knee. My knee is completely here. I have the MRI to prove it. I also use a lot of natural stuff. I use stuff like glucosamine chondroitin. I use it on my patients. I use it on me. And so where does this leave us? What's the last word? It's still up for debate. There are some studies that show it works. Some people feel like it lacks efficacy, but I'm going to tell you the same thing I say about anecdotal therapies for wound care. If I'm putting it on the patient and it's working, it's working. If I'm putting it on the patient, my treatments are healing, guess what? The patient's healing. I'm not going to go against it. So that's my word on red light therapy. There's still more research to be done, but I like it. It works for me. You do your own research and make your own mind up. La luz roja, básicamente lo que dice la ciencia, familia, es muy fácil. En estudios de ratones, le pusieron la luz roja a los ratones a ver si causaba cáncer y lo que vieron es que hacía que le creciera el pelo. Entonces ahorita hay muchos tratamientos con gorras con luz roja que ayudan a que te crezca el pelo. Yo uso eso, a mí me ayudó mucho porque perdí mucho pelo aquí con el COVID, entonces a mí me gusta mucho la luz roja, también la uso para la cara y me gusta mucho también para los dolores. Especialmente cuando tienes gente que ya no le puedes hacer mucho, no puede tomar pastillas. La luz roja ayuda a bajar el dolor. Eso es lo que me han reportado. Yo personalmente la usé para mi rodilla y me ayudó bastante. Ya mi rodilla se me sanó, me tardé mucho tiempo, pero no tuve que tener cirugía. Entonces, luz roja, sí hay evidencia que dice que ayuda para ciertas cosas. Ciertos doctores no les gusta y yo lo que les digo es hagan su propia investigación, lean y tomen sus decisiones con lo que es mejor para su cuerpo. Don't forget to call for the tickets. Gracias para todos los que nos han llamado y nos vamos a ver la próxima semana. Primeramente Dios, cambiamos el live a miércoles porque tenemos mucho trabajo y muchas veces los viernes tenemos que salir o estamos haciendo visitas en casa y no quiero estarles cancelando. Entonces vamos a ver si los miércoles nos funciona. Y estamos al pendiente. Abril Lopez, enfermera de práctica avanzada, especialista en heridas desde la clínica Lopez Family and Wound Healing Center en McAllen. April Lopez signing off from Lopez Family and Wound Healing Clinic, advanced practice nurse, family nurse practitioner, and wound specialist. Thank you for your time and thanks for the